Hi, this is Damien Foley, and this is my MBA journey at the Melbourne Business School. I didn't actually do a video of the 23rd of September, so this is my makeup video. I did do a video today. I am working on it, and that's actually will be in my next video, which is the day in the life of a part-time MBA student. So that'll follow after this. So what I'm going to do is basically what happened yesterday. Nothing fantastic happened. I obviously went to work. I went to the gym in the morning. I didn't have any meetings. I didn't have any class. What I did was I did do study though. I did come to the uni here and do some study. And what I did was I've got managing people for my class, so I actually come and did my readings for that. So what I'm going to do is just do a bit of a summary of each of the articles that I did for that managing people. So the first article that I did was called Luck Inc., and that's the 7 secrets of really, really lucky companies. Basically the summary of that is business books find companies with success and then find success factors to justify why it was successful. This is a circular reference. So what that's saying is that a lot of the business books go and say, okay, this is a successful company. Let's go and find what those success factors were that made it successful. This is a circular reference because you're already identifying that it's successful. It is a successful company. And then going, okay, these were the factors that made it successful. They aren't actually finding the attributes or qualities that can be identified in a company or organisation that will make it successful. So there is no, they haven't found the success formula, if you will. So what they would really need to do is go, these are the attributes that make a successful company. Let's find an organisation that is only just starting up, and let's follow it through. And if it's got these qualities in it, these attributes, we'll instill these attributes in this company, and it should become successful. It's not being done. What they're doing is finding successful companies and then finding the attribute, and then identifying the attributes that made it successful. So that's part of the problem. There is not an empirical justification of identifying a business that will become successful. So again, that's the they haven't found the secret formula to success. There hasn't been empirically justified or evidence of that. The second article is don't be too quick to dismiss softer science. So the summary of that is evidence supports leadership and management can be measured and has hard science to prove its merit in improving business results. So what that's saying is most people perceive that leadership and management is based upon gut instincts, which are the outcome of experience and knowledge. What they're not looking at is the scientific evidence, the empirical evidence and data and studies that actually show what makes for successful leaders and managers. What are the attributes? There is actually studies out there that have proven the attributes, but many organisations or management or leaders and managers don't necessarily look at those as part of the assessment of leadership and management training to find them good leaders. The next article was trust the evidence, not your instincts, and basically the summary of that is evidence-based management is not being practiced, resulting in human and financial costs within an organisation. So essentially what it's saying is there is a cost, there's a human and financial cost to an organisation because we're not using evidence-based management and practices, and they're not necessarily being questioned. So they gave an example in the article. It gives an example of if you went to a doctor and that person and you were assessed as having a severe illness, and the doctor just prescribed you a treatment that was painful and intrusive and had side effects, and you went and done that, and you started having it, and then later on you went and done your research to indicate that the treatment that they were giving you actually doesn't have any. The research comes back and says that it doesn't actually result in improvements in the illness, and it doesn't. It's not actually very effective, the treatment. But you're going through all this pain and suffering because you're going through this treatment. You wouldn't accept that from your doctor if you went back. And if you went back to your doctor and said, "Well, why didn't you tell me that this treatment you're giving me has been demonstrated that it doesn't work, and it's not really successful, it's not effective," and the doctor came back and said, "Well, that was just a study. I looked at the practice, and it seemed like the method was sound to me. So, that's good enough. And I know I've got experience in being a doctor. So, therefore, we wouldn't blindly accept that. We would rely on the research, the medical research that said this is not a acceptable treatment or an effective treatment. So the question will be then, would we do that in leadership and management? We've got the evidence, we've got the research, we've got the studies that have all been done that say what is good practice for leadership and management. Why aren't we using it rather than just relying on our gut or experience? So, yes. The next article was when best practice backfires. It was actually a podcast, actually. And what came out of that was summary is best practices are being blindly accepted by managers and leaders and not being questioned or tested. So what's happening is organisations are putting in this best practice because they might have been engaged by a consultant or whoever in the organisation or wherever, and saying this is best practice, so we use it. It's not being tested or questioned whether it is or not. And that an organisation should be constantly, regularly questioning and testing that best practice to justify whether it is actually effective. Because what might have been best practice and successful yesterday isn't necessarily going to be successful today or tomorrow. Things change and evolve, so it needs to be constantly tested to prove that or justify that it is best practice. So the next point is benchmarking industry leaders as best practice can be false. The practice might be used, but not necessarily best practice based upon evidence or empirical testing. So, for example, you look at a top 200 listed company, they're using this practice. Because they're a top 200 listed company, that must be best practice because they're using that in their top 200. Just because they're using it and they're a top 200 doesn't mean it's best practice. It just means that they're using it. And so if you're blindly accepting that it's best practice because it's used by a top 200 company, then you must question that. It could be false. It might be something that works for them, but not necessarily something that works for you. Or they might be using it, but it's not actually working that well, but they haven't changed it. So this is something to consider. The third point for this is the best practices should be questioned and tested to validate use. Experiments to prove this would mean only changing the practice and nothing else in company to test results. So classic economics term that we would use is called ceteris paribus, all things being equal, and where you only change one variable. So in this situation, if you could, you would, and this is business, it's it's not necessarily practical to do this in a closed environment, to only be able to change one factor and then assess whether that works or not, because you're in a business, the environment's always changing, and especially external factors. But what they're saying is, look, let's look at what the best practice is over a period of time, and let's see what the results are. Now let's go and do that same test. We'll only change the one variable being the best practice. We'll reverse it, for example. Let's do the complete opposite to what that best practice is. For example, that was given in the test in the case was, we've got incentive payments. Let's see if we remove incentive payments and just charge a provider a flat incentive payment for everybody, irrespective of whether they on the reward or incentive performance in its own right. So everyone receives it, not just people who meet a certain performance level, and see whether that makes a difference. And if it doesn't, then that will suggest that it's false that it's best practice. It might be the complete opposite. It might actually improve results and you find that it's quite opposite. The best practice is to not provide incentive payments, or to give a flat fee or payment to all staff members and not incentivize only the some that meet certain targets. So, yes. Next point is best practices should be questioned and tested to validate use. Experiments to prove this would mean only... No, I've already done that. The next point is practices deemed best practice may be hard to remove or change if they become ingrained in the organisation's core. So that's where something that is deemed best practice is woven or threaded through the organisation, and that to try and undo it or remove it is it's too problematic, it's too hard. Again, we'll use incentive payments. So look at sales. If the more you sell, the more you get paid. And that is applied through the whole company. That based on KPIs, that you get incentivized payments if you meet those KPIs. If you were to try and remove that, some organisations may have it so ingrained in their organisation that to remove it could impact the whole organisation, or it's just too hard to remove. So that's the problem. That can be a problem with best practice. If it's woven in or threaded throughout the organisation and it's so ingrained that it can't be removed, then that becomes a problem. So that's my summary of what I've been doing with managing people for my readings. So yeah, look guys, I'm signing off. This is Damien Foley, and you can follow me on YouTube at Damien Foley. You can also follow me on at my blog, on my website at www.damienfoley.com/MBA. You can also follow me on Instagram at DGFoley, or one word. Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. I probably won't post this video on LinkedIn, but I'll post my next video possibly on LinkedIn, and I'll let you know what the details of that are later. Okay guys, I'm signing off. Have a good night. Thanks, bye.